Bing, 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 bing. Oh, my camera's all screwed up. Hey. There we go. Back to normal. Oh. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a wonderful Monday night. It's D&D&Chill time. Got some lo-fi going on in the background. Smunk looks... I listened to the video put out by Wizards. I'm very curious. I've heard really good things. I want to like jump into this. I've heard great things about this monk. Also, eating my dinner, so don't mind me. Got some stuffed pork chops. All right, so yes, have I seen D4 and Treant Monks videos? I don't believe I have. Let me see. Oh, you know, okay. I just want to say, I pull up on my phone, my YouTube app, and what's literally the one that is next on my, oh, you can't even see. Hold on. What's literally the next video that plays is theirs. So, would have been the one I watched. No, I watched... Whose did I watch? I watched the character sheet. And then I also watched, just the official D&D channel's video on it. Yeah, I watched the official one with Jeremy Crawford and Todd Kenrick. Yeah, get to hear them sell it a bit. From what I heard, it should be good. All right, I still gotta set up my windows. Alrighty then. I know, Bo. You're being a good boy down there. So, for those of you that don't know what Derek Silverstone and I are talking about, there's a new Unearthed Arcana today. Unearthed Arcana playtest number 8, the revised Druid, or Barbarian, Druid, and Monk. Now, the Barbarian and the Druid and Monk were featured in the last 2 main UAs. In fact, the Barbarian we've seen 2 iterations of. I believe we've seen 2 iterations of. Might be just the one. Hold on. Let me see. Was it UA 5? Did they? No. So yeah, it might have just been. It might have just been in this one, or in playtest 7. I think it's this 3rd. That's what I think. Hold on, I gotta check that with myself. We've had so many already. All right. Expert class. I know we've had Druid a bunch. So I think that was it. I think we saw the Barbarian the last time on 7, and that was it. So we're getting a revised Barbarian. We're also getting a revised Druid, another one, because that was a huge one. So we had that in number 4 with the druid and the paladin. And then we also had the druid again in number 6. And then in number 7, yeah, they didn't talk about it, so we're back to that. But we're also talking about the monk, which was only featured once as well in number 6. Didn't they talk about monk coming up? Yes, they did. Poke it down. They did, and that is because there is a lot to talk about with the monk. So one of the big problems with the monk was that for a long time, it has been agreed upon in the community that the monk is just underpowered, like overall. I gotta clear out all these. There we go. The monk is just underpowered overall because of the amount of key points that they have. And I want to say it might have been Derek, who offered up a homebrew role, which was something that I had mentioned a few other times in the past. All they have to do is simply make it, see, yeah, plus wisdom. Yeah, plus wisdom works. Or even what I've seen other people say, just add the proficiency modifier to it. You know, have it be like a scaling thing. So, but yeah. Proficiency is what I would is what I would roll with. But I mean, arguably, you could say, hey, make it equal your wisdom, because the key points are based on wisdom stuff. That's even what their spells or the key save is. So making it based on wisdom wouldn't be the end of the earth, or wouldn't be, you know, the worst of things. But having it be proficiency just ties it very simply to, you know, a scale. But that's a, you know, that's a house rule, one that I probably will, you know, will utilize as we go along. What else? What? Sure. I know that they didn't. I know they didn't increase it. I know that they did not increase it, but they took away things. Yes, they did not change the scaling, but they took away things that use it. So it makes them less of a burden to actually use when you want to. So yeah, we'll get down to that one. But first off, I want to see, they also give you extra options. Yeah. And that's the other thing is, it is cool. That was the other thing that I remember. So like you can just do stuff for free now, but you can use a key point to like power it up to make it, you know, a stronger feature. So yeah, I can't wait. This sounds really cool. I've heard really good things. Like I said, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are talking really well about this. So can't wait. This, what is that? Seems like it needs to be tightened down or something. There we go. That's a little better. All right, so let's look on to the Barbarian first. I'm curious to see what they changed from the original Barbarian and from the UA. So previously, this is what we had. So this is compared to the original, but now Rage regains 1 expended use when you finish a short rest. That's good. That's a really good feature. Previously you only got Rage back when you finished a long rest. You got all your uses back of Rage. And there's a lot of stuff now that is getting, like, do a short rest and get something back. So I'm glad the Barbarian gets that, because there's a lot of people that were saying for a while, it's like, oh, Wizards of the Coast wasn't the original short rest. Nope, long rest right there. Once you've raged the maximum number of times for your Barbarian level, you must finish a long rest before you can rage again. Yeah, so I don't think there was anything throughout that changed that, but there was, where was it? Oh, there was a point where at level 20 you had unlimited rages, so you could just always be raging. There was, like, you were just always in that state. But now getting it back on a short rest, this is great, because there's a lot of stuff that is getting pushed to, you know, hey, let's take a short rest. And a lot of people were complaining for a while that Wizards was trying to move away from short rest, that they were trying to make things more based on long rest, or they were trying to phase out short rest. And honestly, with everything we've seen in the UA for 1D&D or whatever you want to call it, there is still a big push for short rests. Like, I don't see them moving away from, I really don't see them moving away from short rests at any time. They should still make short rest 10 minutes instead of an hour. I can definitely see that point. I think the problem that you have with that, of making short rests be 10 minutes, is the fear of abuse. I think that's a big thing for them, is they might be afraid that players would abuse that. That's why you have an hour cooldown. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, you know, being a way to go about it. I'm just, I don't know. I've heard that. I've heard different people having different times for short rests. Yeah, no, it's understandable. But I think that if you, again, depending on your players, even if it's an hour in between, like, you could have players where it's like, okay, we're going to go in, we're going to unload as much as we can. Now we're going to leave this place and we're going to rest an hour. Now, I could also be wrong, and let me look this up before I speak out my ass. Where's it at? Okay, so it's at least 1 hour long. For some reason, in my mind, it was always 4. But, you know, regardless if you're making it that you need to, like, be downtime for an hour or putting that hour in between, having that 10 minutes means that your players can short rest, go in, blow up as much as they can. Oh yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. And then it's like, okay, after an hour of us burning through all of our things, we can now rest again for 10 minutes and then burn through it all again. You can do that, you know, 8 or 9 times a day. And granted, there's not a lot of stuff that recovers on short rest. You know, warlocks are a little more blessed in that regard. But I definitely think there is at least, you know, some fear of abuse. It's probably why they haven't done that. I don't know. I might have to play with that. You know, making it 10 minutes in the future just to see how I feel about it, because I can only speak to seeing it on paper. And you only get half your hit dice on a long rest. Yeah, that's the other thing is, you know, you're not getting all your hit dice. But that's just been always a rule. That's always been a rule. The character on a long rest, they regain all hit points and regain spent hit dice up to half the character's total of them. I have always, as a DM, given my players back all of their hit dice on a long rest. So that's always been a thing for me. This stuffing is good. All right. So we got an extra use of rage once per short rest. And we got brutal strike now. Now, to those of you that have never played a barbarian, let me just explain how kind of like a very touchy subject brutal critical is. Okay. At 9th level, you can roll 1 additional weapon die when determining the extra damage for a critical hit. Now, if you are doing this normally and you double your dice pool, you still have a chance of rolling low on all of those dice. So adding 1 extra dice when determining the extra damage you're doing isn't that much. I mean, if you figure if you're attacking with a great axe, okay, that is 1d12, realistically, all you're getting is you're adding the potential for another, on average, 6.5 points of damage. So there's a lot of people that don't really care much for that, and especially the fact that it is like a class feature, and it very much depends on the dice really being in your favor for you to get use out of that. And then on top of that, it's also your 2 other class features at 13th and 17th level. Now, in my games, where I use the brutal critical feature, I use, or some other people call it crunchy crits or whatever you want to call it, where you get the maximum of your dice pool. So you double your, you roll whatever you have. Let's say you're attacking with a great axe, and so you're going to roll a d12, and you're going to add a d12. You're going to add 12 to that, and then you're going to add your strength modifier. So the way that brutal critical for the barbarian worked was you get to roll an additional die when determining this. So in my games, if you are attacking with a great axe, you're rolling 2d12 and you're adding 24 to that. And that in itself is making it, or sorry, not 2d, yeah, 2d4, 2d12. You're rolling 2d12 and your dice pool is now, 2d12. So you get 24 added to that. So it is a huge boon in my games, but that's homebrew. I always felt like this brutal critical wasn't that great, and you got players like paladins with their smites or rogues with their sneak attack, where when they crit, they become these super powerhouses, and that's kind of what I wanted. That's where this kind of was birthed from. I feel like that's where it really stands. But we have something new with brutal strike. It's a new feature that allows you to trade the advantage granted by reckless attack for tactical options. And that was another thing Jeremy Crawford mentioned in the video put out by Wizards, that reckless attack and brutal critical were always supposed to play hand in hand. Reckless attack is where you give yourself advantage on your next attack, and you then have advantage against you, but the more dice you can roll, the more chances you have to roll a critical hit. So we'll see what that has to offer as we go along. And then we got improved brutal, so that's replacing those other brutal criticals, and persistent rage. So previously, that is that your rage is so fierce it only ends if you fall unconscious or if you choose it. They actually added to that in the last one, where you can now use a bonus action in order to keep your, or wait, no, that was just part of the other thing. Shit, what was it? What did they change it to? I forget. If you roll initiative, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so previously it was that it only ends if you fall unconscious or you choose to end it. Now you got like one use of it back. So persistent rage now restores all uses of your rage once per long rest, and the unconscious condition, not incapacitated, shuts off your rage. So we'll go through and we'll look at this real quick, because I do want to see if they've changed anything else. So looks like everything here is exactly the same, because I don't think they changed anything beyond that. Yeah, except getting back it on a short rest, which is great. I think that's a really good option. And then hold on one second. I gotta duplicate this. Put this over here for my own notes. All right, so Brutal Strike. So here's that new class feature at 9th level, replacing Brutal Critical. If you use Reckless Attack, you can forego advantage on the next attack roll you make on your turn with a strength-based attack. If that attack hits, the target takes an extra 1d10 damage of the same type dealt by the weapon or unarmed strike, and you can use one Brutal Strike effect. You have the following options. Okay. Forceful Blow. The target is pushed 15 feet straight away from you. You can then move up to half your speed straight towards them without provoking an opportunity attack. Okay. And Hamstring Blow. Their speed is reduced by 15 feet until the start of your next. That's pretty sick. Okay. So this really is tying it in with Reckless Attack like he had in mind before. You know, instead of having that advantage now, though, you're just saying, okay, so you're using Reckless Attack. You're gonna have disadvantage on, you know, or you're gonna have advantage against you until the start of your next turn, but your first attack is gonna deal extra damage. So that's not too bad. Now, the thing is that when you make your first, yeah. Okay. Let me see here. You make your first attack this turn. Yeah, okay. So, okay. If that attack it now this is where a little bit of that trade-off comes in. So it is that if that attack hits, so you are saying I'm going to attack recklessly, I'm going to use my Brutal Strike, and if that attack hits, the target takes an extra 1d10 damage of that. And so that's it. Now, hold on one second. I think my dog wants to go to bed. Oof. Nope, never mind. He went back downstairs. Okay, so so you're trading off having advantage on all of your attacks until the start of your turn to have one attack deal an extra 1d10. Now, arguably, that is better. That is 100% better than just having a feature that gives you an extra damage die if you crit. So, okay. I mean, it's just, and it's something extra. Yeah, I'm not really going to complain about this. Like brutal critical has always kind of sucked. So this is just a good option. Plus, it's giving more options as we go along. So what do we get later? All right, so at 13th level, staggering blow. The target has disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes, and it can't make opportunity attacks until the start of your next turn. That's not bad. If you got somebody in the party that's forcing saves, that's good to get them to maybe fail it. And that's also a good way to get somebody out of somewhere. So if you have somebody like, if an enemy rushes the wizard, you can run up to this enemy, hit them with a staggering blow, and now your wizard can get out of there without having to disengage or something. So that's pretty decent. Sundering blow. Your blow leaves an opening in the creature's defense for an ally until the start of your next turn. The next attack roll made by another creature against the target gains a bonus to that roll equal to your rage damage. Nice. Okay, so what's the rage damage at 13th level? 3. Okay. So at 13th level, you can hit somebody with your reckless attack, and the next attack that hits it gets a +3 to hit. That's not bad at all. I mean, at 13th level, a +3 ain't nothing to sneeze at. I mean, that's pretty decent. The cap for my juice just fell on the ground. All right, 17th level. The extra damage of your critical strike increases to 2d10. In addition, you can choose 2... Jesus, okay. You can choose 2 brutal strike effects. Wow. Okay. That's pretty impressive. Huh. That would be cool to use both forceful blow and hamstring blow. You push them 15 feet straight away from you, and you also reduce their speed, by 15 feet. Bounded accuracy says +3 is always, yeah. This combo would be great. Like, push them away 15 feet and then reduce their speed by 15. Effectively, most creatures are going to have about a 15-foot movement speed or a 30-foot movement speed anyway. So they have to spend all their movement just to get right back where they were. That's not bad. Okay. I don't know. I like this. I like the change to brutal strike. I mean, I like them getting short rest rages. That's good. That's, and then persistent rage, still got to touch on. When you roll initiative, you regain all reuses of rage. Yeah, so at 15th level, I mean, the moment you jump into combat, you're getting all of your rages back. And I mean, at that point, yeah, that's 5 uses. So, and that's once per long rest. That's not bad. Yeah. The rage ends early if you have the unconscious, not the incapacitated condition. Okay. So if you go to sleep, it's over. Not if you're knocked out. Okay. Or you don heavy armor. Yeah, that's understandable. Okay. Yeah. No, I like this. I think this is fine. Do they use up their rages often? Doesn't seem to be the case with Cephas. So the thing is that in most cases, unless a barbarian is not making an attack or using their bonus action in other cases to keep their rage going, Unless you are in a dungeon or a situation where your encounters are very spaced out, most barbarians won't burn through them that crazily. Now, like, if you have, though, sessions where players are traveling, you know, multiple days, or there's only 1 or 2 encounters per day where there's combat, then yeah, you can burn through your rages and it's not a big deal because, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to get a long rest and you're going to get them right back. So this is where different kinds of play really affect like the efficacy of this. So if it's early on in an adventure and there's, say, 5 or 6 combat encounters in a given day before the players can long rest, like if they're going through a dungeon and, you know, they walk in and there's like, oh, a fight with some goblins, cool, okay, you have the barbarian, they rage, they kill them, and it's like, okay, let's explore this first room, and they take 5 minutes to do that. Well, that rage has ended because it only lasts a minute. But if you know, and so then they're going to move on to the next room. Okay, well, we have some hobgoblins. All right, rage again. Rawr. Now their rages are burnt if they're first or second level, and or if they're, you know, up to 5th level, they only have 1 more to use. But whatever dungeon they're in might be 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms long. And so unless they're continuously like going from one combat to the next, letting their rage continue, anytime that they take a break in between that, yeah, they've burnt that use up. So being able to take a short rest to get one of those back, or I mean at 15th level where you only have 5 and you might have 6 or 7 or 8 encounters in a day, depending on the kind of campaign, having the ability to gain it back when you roll initiative is good. So not only that, but I'm focusing more on combat, truth be told. But they have those other options now with the barbarian, where you can use your rage outside of combat. So remember, we got the primal knowledge ability where it is when your rage is active, you can make certain skill checks with strength, and that's acrobatics, intimidation, perception, stealth, and survival. A lot of those aren't going to be made in combat. So if for example, in the Fanland 5 campaign, if you guys were out hunting for something or someone, and Steve wanted to, you know, have Seftis really, like, you know, helping with that particular thing. I mean, I'm looking at his character sheet now. He's proficient with survival and he has a +4 to it. He could rage, and instead of using wisdom, he could use strength. That would increase his survival skill from a +4 to a +8. But he has to use that rage. He has to burn that resource. So for him, that might be worth it just to get that extra +4. Because if you are going to find something that you're going to fight, well, shoot, maybe it's, you know, maybe it is within a minute that you could find them, but, you know, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is going to be dependent on the campaign you're in or the style of play. But overall, I like it. I like how, you know, I like the change to Brutal Strike. I know a lot of people have complained about that over the years, so I am glad to see that they fixed that. 1 second. Yeah, intimidation is one of those things where that's the case. Now, I want to say that's always been a house rule in a lot of tables. of being able to use different skills or to use different ability modifiers for certain skills. You know, for example, if you are playing, if you're playing a very strong, big barbarian style character, and you want to be intimidating, intimidation is based on charisma. It's how scary you are. But if you could argue, well, I break, you know, is there something around me that I could break or I could smash to show how strong I am to intimidate them? And it's like, yeah, there's, you know, there's like a log, you know, there's a big branch of a tree laying on the ground. It's like, okay, cool. I go over to it. I'm going to make a strength check. You know, and I'm going to roll on a character sheet over here. Okay. So I got a 17. It's like, cool. You take this giant branch, you twist it in your hands, you snap it. That is an intimidation check with strength. So I get to add, my strength to my intimidation. So this just gives it more of like a concrete, by the book, hey, here's a thing you can do. So yeah, I think at certain tables that feature might be kind of like iffy, just because some people let players do that anyway. But overall, I like the barbarian. I like what they've added to it, what they've changed. It's pretty good. I just looked off. I looked away from everything when I said that. I'm really sad. I can't find my back scratcher. Oh, there it is. Woo! I don't want to lose my back scratcher. This is like the one thing in the world that matters. Oh, right there, that spot. Yeah, perfect. All right, moving on from barbarian. Oh, wait, no, we got the subclass. I don't want to ignore that. This is the World Tree subclass. This is a really cool subclass that they introduced in UA7. And it's very much based on movement. So, and apparently, in the video that they talked about in Wizards of the Coast, which, speaking of which, excuse me. If you want to watch that, here's the link to that. If you want to watch that, you can also go to D&D Beyond. It's right at the homepage, but there's the link to that. They said that the World Tree, the Path of the World Tree, got a lot of high ranks, but that they have added a little bit to it. So, Tree of Vitality now provides temporary hit points to the barbarian. So previously, when you rage, you gain temporary hit points equal to your level. You now gain, you regain hit points. Oh, okay. Sorry. I totally read these backwards. So previously, when you raged, you gained hit points equal to your level. Now it is that you gain temporary hit points. There is a benefit to stuff giving you temporary hit points. The reason why temporary hit points, in my opinion, are better is because they can stack on top of your normal hit points. You know, if you are already at max health, temporary hit points just add to that. So I think that's a lot better. That's a better option. And then additionally, at the start of your turn, when you rage, you can choose another creature within 10 feet to gain temporary hit points. Okay, so it's the same thing otherwise. Awesome. I do like that they like gave it two different titles for like each thing. Because sometimes stuff does get lost in there. All right, Branches of the Tree now activates at the start of a creature's turn instead of the end. The range has increased to 30 feet, and the barbarian can choose to reduce the speed of a teleported creature to 0 feet. Okay, so previously, while your rage is active, when a creature you can see ends your turn within 20 feet, so this has been increased to 30, you can use your reaction to summon spectral branches of the world tree around it. The target must succeed a strength save, okay, or to be teleported to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of yourself or in the nearest unoccupied space, okay. It must be on a surface or a liquid to support it, and that was the end. Now their speed is reduced to 0. Okay. I like this. Because wait. No, my mind said something else. Oh, it's a reaction. No, yeah, totally. No, it's a reaction. Wow. Okay, sorry. My mind totally skipped and I was like, "Oh, this is on their turn." No, this is on another creature's turn. So basically, when a creature starts its turn within 30 feet, you can be like, "Nope," and you drag them over to you, and their speed is now 0 until the end of their turn. That is hilarious. Also, I do like the fact that they point out voluntarily failing a save is now a thing that players can do. Meaning, if you have an ally of yours that is in trouble and it's the start of their turn, you can use your reaction to drag them next to you. And they're now by you. So I know that was previously able to be done, but I do like the increased range on that. So that's really good. All right, what else do we got? We have battering roots, and I'm reading what the changes on another screen. So battering roots now applies its increased range only during your turn and only for weapons with specific properties. Good night. The feature now clarifies you can potentially use... Okay, so previously, battering roots. Tendrils of the world tree extend from your melee weapons. While you wield any melee weapon, your reach with that weapon increases by 10 feet. And when you hit with it, you can activate the push or topple property, even if you're using another mastery with that weapon. Okay. Now, Tendrils of the World Tree, during your turn, while you wield a melee weapon with the heavy or versatile trait, your reach increases by 10 feet. Okay. Why did they get specific about... Why did they get specific about heavy or versatile? Oh, I know exactly why. It's because heavy and versatile don't have reach unless you're talking about the lance. No, never mind. I take that back. Glaive and halberd. Oh, I'm thinking my mind, I even spoke it as heavy or versatile. My mind went heavy and versatile. Okay. No, that's fine. I was kind of afraid that they were going to be like, well, if things have reach, we don't want it to be too easy. Okay. No, that's fine. I gotta reload each one of these. I can't stand the light version stuff. It makes it so hard to read. Okay. So what are the weapon properties of stuff with... So wait, which ones have push and topple? Versatile, heavy, and... Okay. Two-handed. Okay. When you hit with this weapon, you can activate push or topple in addition to any other mastery you're using. Okay. So if I'm wielding a glaive, that has graze, I now have access to push, topple, and graze. Yeah, it's basically the same as before. Yeah, it's now just more limited. Now applies its increased range only during your turn while you wield any during your turn. Okay. I see what they did. They took away the ability to do opportunity attacks at increased range. That's why. So this feature now clarifies you can potentially use 2 mastery. No, it doesn't. When you hit with this weapon, you can activate the push or topple property in addition to any other mastery properties you are using with that weapon. I can see why they would say that it's a little more clear compared to, you know, when you hit with it, you can activate the push or topple property even if you're using another mastery property with that weapon. I don't know if that necessarily is more clear that you're allowed to use 2, but I don't know any other way to make it more clear. That's a tough one. All right. Travel along the tree has been redesigned to allow you to teleport yourself while your rage is active, as well as to teleport yourself and your allies a greater distance once per rage. Okay. Previously, as an action, you touch a huge or larger tree or teleportation circle to create a link through the world tree to a teleportation circle somewhere else on the same world or on another plane of existence. When you do so, you can specify a target destination in general terms, such as the City of Brass on the elemental plane of fire, and you and up to 5 willing creatures within 30 feet of you appear at the teleportation circle closest to that destination. If a teleportation circle is too small to hold all the creatures you transported, they appear in the unoccupied spaces closest to the circle. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, and if you've run out of uses of this feature, you can expend 5 uses of rage, choosing to activate this feature instead of rage. Okay. It is now significantly shorter. You can briefly travel along the world tree. When your rage is active, when you activate your rage, and as a bonus action while it's active, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. In addition, when you teleport using this feature, you can bring up to 6 willing creatures who are within 10 feet of yourself, and the range increases to 500 feet. Each creature teleports to an unoccupied space of your choice within 10 feet of your destination. You can teleport other creatures with you only once per rage. Wow. That got nerfed. Okay. So this redesign, I mean, this is a completely different skill. Like, this is comparing apples to oranges. All right. One is that, hey, here's a feature that literally lets you traverse the multiverse, and you can go anywhere in the world or in any other plane of existence once per day. You get a once per day free use of teleportation for you and up to 5 willing creatures within 30 feet. And in fact, you can use it again if you expend 5 uses. Now, It's basically just a beefed up Misty Step and I mean a kind of limited, what is it? It's not oh god, my contact shifted. It's not Dimension Door I'm thinking of. Or is it Dimension Door? Yeah, 500 feet. Yeah. So basically, once per day. Well, wait, hold on. Okay, so wait, hold the fuck on. When you activate your rage, and as a bonus action while it's active, you can teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space. Okay, so that's basically just bonus. That's basically a beefed up Misty Step. Because Misty Step is, I think, 30 feet. Am I correct? Yes, and it's a bonus action. So you're getting a beefed up. You're getting a beefed up Misty Step, but in addition, when you teleport using this feature, you can bring up to 6 willing creatures within 10 feet of you, and the range you can teleport is increased to 10 feet. I mean, it's increased to 500 feet. You can teleport other creatures with you only once per rage. Okay. Okay, here's the problem. Here's the problem that, like, me and my asshole, like, optimizer mind reads this, and I say, okay, so what you're telling me is that I can bonus action Misty Step 60 feet. But in addition to this, when I teleport using this feature, I can bring up to 6 willing creatures. Okay? I can bring up to 6 willing creatures. But this is inside. This is inside of two commas. So this is one part of this. So you can, when you teleport using this feature, you can bring up to 6 creatures, and the rage increases to 500 feet. So you could reason that you don't have to. You can, but you don't have to bring up to 6 willing creatures. But does that mean that the 500 feet still applies? You know, this honestly, and I know what Wizards wanted to do. I know what their reasoning is, but they need to put they need to put a justification in here. They need to put an explanation that reads, when you teleport using this feature, you can bring up to 6 willing creatures who are within 10 feet of you. Period. When you teleport in this way, the range increases to 500 feet. Okay? It needs to just be, you know, when you teleport in this way, the range increases to 500 feet. Because the way that I am reading this right now is, when you teleport using this feature, the range you can teleport increases to 500 feet. That's how I'm reading it. So, because it says the word can. Just because you can doesn't mean you have to. Okay. So there we go. And like it even says here in this little design note, as well as to teleport yourself and your allies a greater distance once per rage. Like, and because Because if this to me is saying when you teleport using this feature, the range you can teleport increases to 500 feet, I'm not teleporting other creatures with me, but you have just basically given me rules as written, in my opinion. Like, I really could read that as that I now have a teleport of 500 feet as a bonus action. So all they have to do, and I'll put that whenever I fill out the survey, period, when you teleport this way, you know, the range increased to 500 feet. So not the end of the world, just needs a little revision. All right. So that was the Barbarian. Overall, I like it. I like the change to the Brutal Strike. Glad they got rid of that Brutal Critical. I like how they've given you some extra things that you can do, kind of like how the Rogue got their Cunning Strike stuff. You know, how the Fighter gets their weapon masteries and things like that. So I like that. I like that they're giving more options to martial characters. And this was a huge thing they wanted to do with this UA, was they wanted to give martial characters more minor things they can do, you know, as they go along, that kind of change as combat evolves. You know, in a lot of cases, when you're in combat, you oftentimes resort back to just like the same things all the time. Okay, yeah, I'm a barbarian. Cool. I rage, I attack. I rage, I attack. I rage, I attack. But now it's like, okay, cool. You know, or it's like, you know, oh, I reckless attack. You know, I rage, I reckless attack, and now I have advantage. But now it's like, cool. I rage. I'm gonna reckless attack, but I'm not gonna take advantage. So I can try and get this extra damage out and try and do a forceful blow, so I can push them. Because maybe there's somebody standing next to a cliff and you want to like launch them off of it, or there's somebody running away and you want to, you know, clip their hamstring and, you know, make them stop. So I think that's a cool option. I think that's a good way that they can kind of play with this. So I like this. I like what they've done. All right, moving on to the Druid. It's been a bit since we've seen the Druid. The very first time that we saw the Druid, when they were basically like, hey, you can't turn into, you know, here's the things you can turn into, and they're pretty, you know, pretty mundane here, but they're like set stat blocks. And there is a part of me that doesn't mind a set stat block, but I like what they did with the last one, where they basically said, hey, okay, we're not going to make you, we're not going to keep you to one stat block. I feel like I need to look up Topple. I don't recall it. It's one of the mastery abilities. It's a mastery ability. When you hit a creature with this weapon, you can force them to make a con save. On a failed save, they're knocked prone. So it was actually featured in Baldur's Gate 3. It was anytime you picked up a staff, it always had the topple. It always had the topple ability attached to it. So yeah, which is actually why I think it is. No, yeah, it's not on there. Yeah, it wasn't. So, but I think it was changed later. Yeah, I want to say it was changed in this one. I could be wrong though. Let's see. Quarterstaff. Yeah, Quarterstaff now has topple. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, as of UA 7, Quarterstaff has topple, where when you hit them, you can knock them prone. Honestly, it was always one of those cool things where it's like, that again to me is like one of those cool things that fighters and really anybody, you know, that has weaponry mastery can do, is like being able to just have like a little bit extra thing that goes with a weapon. And I've contemplated systems like that. I've sat down and wrote notes on it before, but it was so grand in how it would need to be designed. And honestly, I don't mind the weapon mastery system. I just probably would never pay attention to it unless I'm playing with a character that utilizes them. All right. So back to the druid. When they changed it the first time around, they basically said, okay, here's your stat blocks. These are the things you turn into, and that's it. You can flavor them however you want, but they're all the same, and that's it. And everyone raised hell. So in number 6, in UA6, they came out and said, okay, we're sorry. We're going to take that away, but we're not going to let you just turn into anything all the time as much as you want. You now know 3 forms, and you can pick those forms at 2nd level, and you get another one at 4th, you get another one at 8th level. The reason why they want to do this is because United Artists, yeah. The reason why Wizards wants to do this is because over the years, people have complained that the druid is one of the most unapproachable classes for new players because of the sheer amount of things that you have to remember. Because when you think about it, if you're playing, say, a fighter, you have class traits, you have racial features, and maybe a feat, okay? But when you step into the realm of, say, a spellcaster, like let's say you want to play a wizard, well, now on top of your racial traits and your class features, you now, and even your subclass features, even for the fighter, but now you have spells that you have to remember. So you have to remember the details of each of those spells in order to, you know, utilize them and, you know, be able to be effective with them. So add to that the necessity to remember different animal stat blocks and what each one of them can do. You know, the fact that a bear has, I think, multi-attack. Could be wrong. Let's check. See, I don't even remember. Yeah, a bear has multi-attack. Okay, so if you want to have more attacks, go with a bear. But if you want to have, you know, a higher chance of hitting with your one attack, well, take pack tactics and be a dire wolf, because then you can, you know, then you can think more strategically, and you're, you know, now you're having to play around with the concepts of positioning. So this was one of those things where when you sat down to play a druid, you have to remember your racial traits, you have to remember your class traits, you have to remember your subclass traits, you have to remember your spell casting features, and you have to remember the stat blocks of, you know, I think I've looked into this before, like the sheer amount of animals you can wild shape into at 2nd level. Even if we only look at official sources, you can transform into 75 different creatures. Now, taking away stuff like, okay, the chimeric baboon, okay, we're probably not going to have the chimeric baboon or the cranium rat, but like anything else in here, for the most part, you would have access to. And then going from a half or a CR of 1/4 to going up to CR1, I mean, like that is 100 stat blocks that you have to remember. So that's one of those things that like really put a stumbling block in front of a lot of people wanting to play a druid, unless you were willing to take on that responsibility. I always felt that ended up putting work onto DM, even if the druid player does most of the stuff. It doesn't actually put a lot on the DM, because the DM doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what it is whatever it is the druid wants to transform into. Now, what you do run into is, can you argue that your character would have seen this? That's always been one of my things. It's like, you can't just transform into a T-Rex. You've never seen a T-Rex. You can't just transform into this thing. You've never seen it. But that's entirely up to the DM if they want to become that, persnickety about it. Some DMs don't care. Some DMs do not care one way or the other about, have you seen this animal? Because it doesn't say anywhere in here that you need to have seen or know that animal. Okay. That is actually something that is like, that's in the whatchamacallit, like a shapeshifter, or not a shapeshifter. Shapeshifter. No, wait, no, it's not. What the fuck is it? What am I thinking of? Changeling, thank you. Couldn't think of the word. So, the changeling has a feature that says you can't duplicate the appearance of an individual you've never seen. You must adopt a form that has the same basic range, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing in wild shape. Oh, actually, no, there is. Huh, perfect. Never mind. I've always read this, and I've ignored this. Well, there we go. So speaking out my ass, as always, it's what I do here. So yeah. So, but again, could somebody just, talk their way through it? Well, one time I was reading a book, and my mom and papa bought me a book when I was a kid called Animals of the Realm. And it had all these animals, and it talked about all the things that they can do. And because think about it. When you're growing up, when you're a kid, you have books, you have different things that your family might buy you, and, that you could argue, oh, I've seen that. I've seen a T-Rex before. I've seen a Triceratops. I've seen a Velociraptor. Could you make the argument that, oh yeah, no, I had a book that talked about these? And because does this say you have to have seen it in person? Could you go to a museum and see a dire wolf or see a Velociraptor and say, I can change into that? Because arguably you can. So, and it is funny. It's funny. I always ignored that part. Huh. Sorry. My back scratcher is kind of broken. I'm trying to get this little rod out of the handle. I know using my teeth for this is probably the worst thing. Oh, wait, I might have a magnet. Nope, not strong enough and not magnetic. Ooh. Some duct tape down in here. This is the radio you all wanted. Fat guy fiddles with back scratcher. There we go. All right. So I don't know we'll see what we have now that they have changed. Oh, and there's only one thing. Okay, wow. Honestly thought this was going to be more. Okay, what is it? Wild Shape now allows the druid to know more beast forms, and it gives temporary hit points to the druid. In addition, the beast form no longer retains the druid's species traits. Okay, so species is still the term they're using for race. I don't necessarily care for the change in the term of species or race. If anything, it should have been ancestry. I'm still gonna call it race. But now, okay, so that's pretty interesting. Okay, let's see where this is. Okay, as a bonus action, you transform into a beast form that you have learned for this feature. See known forms below. So how many do you know? Oh, here it is. You know a number of forms for this feature equal to 2 plus half of your druid level rounded up. Okay. So at 3rd level, hold on. Let's pull this up. I do this all the time. Where's the right one? Is it half races? No, probably not. I don't know. Let's find it. I have one in here that's probably right. No. No. Nope, not that. Oh, here it is. Here it is. OD&D maths. There we go. All right. So let's copy this. Put that over there. So this is equal to 2 plus your level, but it is, hold on. Oh, I know it's half. It's 1. It's 0.5 times. There we go. Yeah, okay, so that's doing it right. So there we go. There's the math. Okay, this is how many wild shape forms you can take on as a druid with this particular setup. 2 plus half of your druid level rounded down. So starting at 1st level, you are actually getting one more than what, or no, you are getting what they started you with. But when you get to 6th level, or when you get to 5th level, they're actually giving you what you got at 8th. So you're getting significantly more forms, which, let's be honest, if you're going that long in a campaign and you can only know 5 different forms, that is pretty limited. So I actually like that. I like that they gave you, you know, a respectable amount of forms that you can change into, because it gives you more options and versatility with it. So Yeah, I'm okay with that. You know, it's kind of got to do a little math, but you know, you can see how easy a chart like that is to throw together just to have and remember. There we go. I fixed my back scratcher. There's like two parts of my back scratcher right here that are coming apart. So I have a piece of duct tape. But the problem is I put it so low that the bottom part of it got stuck to it. So let's do this again. There we go. Nice. There we go. Nice back scratcher. Yeah. Okay, so is that it? No, it was also what was it? It was that you got temporary hit points. Stay in that form a number of hours equal to your druid level. Okay. Number of uses. Okay, so here it is, temporary hit points. So this is completely new. This is when you assume wild shape, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your druid level. Okay, so this is probably being added. I want to say they talk about this in the video that they put out. This is getting added in because this part right here, all of your statistics are replaced by the stats of the beast, except for your hit points, hit dice, your mental stats, your class features, languages, and feats. So that right there means that you are not gaining any extra hit points. That was always one of the big driving forces for people to play a druid otherwise. Because if you transform into, say, a brown bear, that means that you have now a pool of 34 hit points that once you burn through all those, you come back. So let's right here. When you transform, you assume the beast's hit points. When you revert to your normal form, you return to the number of hit points you had before you turned. Now it's just whatever your hit points are. So it means that you can't use wild shape to like buff your hit points and to tank a bit more. So this giving them at least something, I think it's a little low. I mean, that's 2 hit points. That's not a lot. I mean, I would even say maybe to get temporary hit points equal to, like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 times your druid level, maybe 2. You know, at 20th level, you're getting 40. That's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think 2 is just kind of, I think with the amount they're giving you, it's kind of a spit in the face. All right. So what did they do to the Circle of the Moon? Circle of the Moon updates. Circle spells is a new feature that provides spells you always have prepared and can cast in the wild shape form. Interesting. That is very interesting. Okay. Circle forms previously combat wild shape. No, it's not. Circle forms is right there. Has been streamlined to determine your AC and the number of 10 points. Okay. Oh, that's okay. I see what they're doing. Improved circle form lets you add your wisdom modifier to your constitution saves. Yeah, that's hella good. Okay, awesome. Lunar form now lets each of your wild shape attacks deal extra radiant damage. Oh, sick. Okay. All right, so let's look through this. So, circle spells. Your connection with the circle ensures you always have certain spells ready. When you reach a druid level specified in the Circle of Moon spells table, you thereafter always have the spell prepared, okay? In addition, you can cast the spells from this feature while you are wild shaped. Interesting. Ooh, and there's new spells. Cure Wounds, Moonbeam, Starry Wisp, Vampiric Touch, Font of Moonlight, and Dawn. Okay, that's cool. So not only are you getting these spells, but you can use them when you wild shape. That's awesome. Because previously it was like, you can't cast spells, you can't do anything, blah, 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 blah. They changed it in the last UA to say, okay, while you're changed, you can cast abjuration spells, except ones that have material components with a specified cost or one that it consumes, which was great because it meant that you could cast stuff like Cure Wounds and, Bark Skin and stuff like that, things that protected you and others. That was great. And then they just gave you Moonbeam to be able to just cast while in that form. So that's pretty interesting. Moonbeam, yeah, having Moonbeam was always kind of like a bit of a weird thing, but wasn't going to complain, but I see we don't get it anymore. But that's fine. So I like that. Okay, so also, when you assume a wild shape, you gain the following benefits. The maximum CR of a creature you can transform into is your druid level divided by 3. Really? The maximum CR for a creature is 1. The maximum CR for a form equals your druid level divided by 3 rounded down. Why do I feel like... something's off with that in my mind. Yeah, because that's exactly how it was before. That's essentially what this is. It's your level divided by 3. The right grants you the ability... Yeah, the maximum CR for your wild shape is 1. Okay, so they went back to the way things were, which is great. That's awesome. Also, previously, compare the beast's AC to your AC. While you're in that form, use whichever's higher. Now, it is that your AC is equal to 13 plus wisdom. Okay, so they're basically giving you a wisdom version of mage armor. So, that's actually pretty decent. I mean, you figure at 3rd level, you're probably gonna have a +2 or a +3, maybe a +4 to your wisdom. So you're gonna have a 16 to 17 AC while you're in your wild shape form, which is pretty... It's better than most animals. I mean, a dire wolf... I think a dire wolf has 13. 14. Okay. So yeah, being able to bump that up, that's hella better. Yeah. I'm up for that. I like that change. And you gain temporary hit points equal to 3 times your druid level. Gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 3 times your druid level. Okay, cool. Sweet. So that's basically the same. All right. Improve circle forms. Each of your attacks in wild shape can deal its normal damage type or radiant. Okay, so this goes back to that whole thing that they've been doing with all of the UAs, where they've basically said all of your attacks now, ignore magical resistance, or, are magical for the purposes of ignoring resistance. That's essentially what radiant damage does. Very few things resist radiant, and a lot of things are kind of affected by radiant. Stuff like the undead that kind of that defeats the undead fortitude. So bumping that just into radiant is their clear way of doing this. And you can add your wisdom modifier to your con saving throws. All right. And lunar form now grants each of your wild shape attacks to do extra radiant damage. Okay. So when you use this, so this is basically the exact same share to moonlight. So you don't get moonbeam anymore. But you can just deal an extra 1d10 radiant damage. That's pretty decent. All right. Coolio. I want to really quickly, before we look at the monk, because the monk is a big change, I want to see these new spells real quick. So these spells were Starry Wisp and Font of Moonlight. Okay, so Starry Wisp is a cantrip. You launch a mote of light at one creature or object. Make a ranged spell attack. On a hit, it takes 1d8 radiant damage, and until the end of your next turn, it emits dim light in a 10-foot radius. And oh shit, that is badass. I like that. I like that a lot. It's kind of like that needs to be a cleric spell. That needs to be a cleric spell, because that is basically the same thing as like a minor guiding bolt. If you really think about it, like guiding bolt is it's a considerably more damage and hell of a bigger range, but it makes things glow with a light, and that needs to be a cleric spell. Starry Wisp needs to be a cleric spell too. I like that. It also plays onto like Fairy Fire. So the Fairy Fire spell being able to make things not benefit from invisibility. All right. Font of Moonlight. Self-spell, concentration up to 10 minutes. A cool light wreaths your body for 10 minutes, emitting bright light in a 20-foot radius, dim light for an additional 20. Until the spell ends, you have resistance to radiant damage, and your melee attacks deal an extra 2d6 radiant damage on a hit. Additionally, immediately after you take damage from a creature within 60 feet of yourself, you can use your reaction to make them take a con save, and on a failed, they are blinded until the end of your next turn. That's pretty badass. It's a little bit light on the damage side, considering its concentration, but it has a lot going for it. I mean, it's 40 feet of light. It's resistance to radiant damage is whatever, but like just being able to like have this extra reaction for 10 minutes, that's pretty decent. I would like to see this damage turned up. I would like that damage to be a little bit higher. Okay. So we're going to go up. We're going to look at the monk. There's a lot that has changed with the monk. And I've been waiting for this one. All right. Let's find the monk in here. Where are you at, monk? There he is. Oh, my neck. Cracking my neck. Let's close that out. Let's close this one too. Let's close all these. All right. So, as you can see, and Derek Silverstone brought this up before, there is no change to the discipline point scale. But I've heard good things, so we will see. So, first off, martial arts sees a return of monk weapons, and the martial arts die applies to both unarmed strike and monk weapons. Okay, so this means that we are getting the martial arts stuff back, which means that we have monk weapons, and it is good that it's the martial arts die is, I mean, it's always been unarmed strike and monk weapons. So, but previously, yeah, it was just simple weapons. And then, yes, your martial arts die was a little bit higher, but it was only for unarmed strikes. They're really trying to, like, push the whole unarmed strike thing. All right. Bonus unarmed strikes are no longer tied to the attack action. Okay, so we're going to start reading this. I have these notes on my left. So I'm referring to those. Okay. So, first level martial arts. You gain, you practice martial arts, give you mastery of combat styles that use your unarmed strike and monk weapons. Monk weapons are simple weapons or martial weapons that have the light property, which I actually like they specify that, because it's all simple weapons and now martial weapons that have the light property. So, which ones are those? So let's filter this. So we want melee weapons. Actually, it doesn't even specify that. It's just martial weapons. So we're gonna say martial weapons, and property is that it has the light property. That's it. So there we go. So martial weapons that have the light property is the short sword, the scimitar, and the hand crossbow. So there we go. Those are your monk weapons, everyone. Those are the monk weapons. You gain the following benefits when you're unarmed or only using monk weapons, and you aren't wearing armor or a shield. Oh my god. I just had a thought. We'll talk about it in a minute. Oh my god, hold on. Okay. Oh my god. All right, so while you are wielding only monk weapons or unarmed, you aren't wearing armor or shield, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. That's just it. That's pretty sick. Previously, the bonus action attack was that if you made an attack, when you take the attack action and make an unarmed strike or attack with a simple weapon, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. Now, it's just, no matter what you did previously, you can attack with a bonus action. That's actually really good. You can use dexterity instead of strength for the attack and damage of unarmed strike and monk weapons. Okay. In addition, you can choose... Oh, excuse me. when you choose the grapple or shove option, you can use dexterity instead of strength. That's great. That's really good, actually. Monks are dexterity-based characters, so it is good that they are playing into that with letting them use dexterity instead of strength when you're grappling or shoving. And martial arts die, still a D6. I think previously, yeah, it started out as a D4. So we are still on that same scale, but it's one die size higher, which is always good to see. All right. So yeah, dexterity attacks. All right, moving on. Unarmored defense is still the same. Weapon mastery is gone. Look at that. Weapon mastery is now gone, which they that really makes sense. Attack with just a bonus action, but I don't. So one of the downsides was that if you did anything else, you couldn't just you would if you did anything else with your action, it meant that your bonus action couldn't be that attack. So this just gives them one more opportunity to make a quick strike. But weapon mastery is now cut, which I don't blame them. I personally felt like the mastery weapon should have been limited to the Kensei Monk subclass. The Kensei Monk subclass was all about being like specifically associated with certain weapons, and the fact that every monk got weapon mastery just didn't make a lot of sense to me, especially since the fact that it's like monk weapons was already a thing. They're already getting some benefit from monk weapons, so just kind of leave it at that. All right, so we had martial discipline. It's now called Monk's Discipline. The options have been redesigned to have options that don't require spending discipline points. Okay. This is where before we used to have key points. They're now called discipline points. But this is where we have our abilities. Now, in previous ones, it was just like, you have to spend a point to do this thing. You have to spend a point to do whatever. And the problem has always been that you don't have enough points, especially early on, to really do stuff. So I've heard they changed this for the best. Okay, so here we go. Your access, blah, 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 blah. You can spend these points to fuel certain features. You start with knowing Fury of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind. When you spend a discipline point, it's unavailable until you finish a short or long rest, at the end of which you regain all of your expended points. Okay, so you're regaining everything back on a short or long rest, which is what it was before. Some features require, okay, so saving throw, this needs to be in parentheses. That's just like a typing thing. Okay, so Flurry of Blows. Previously, it was immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, spend 1 point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. That's what it's always been. It is now spend 1 point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action. This is great. Okay, so I love this. So previously, you're getting the ability to make a bonus action unarmed strike. Now, you spend a point, you get to make 2 unarmed strikes. You don't have to make the attack action first, which means if you are multi-classing into monk, or if you have like a magic initiate feat or something like that, you could cast a spell and punch somebody. Or you could use a magic item and punch somebody. And I honestly think that's a great option for monks. It's giving them something extra to do, and it's not tying them down to the attack action. Patient defense. You can take the disengage action as a bonus action. Period. Alternatively, you can spend 1 point to take both disengage and dodge. This is great. Okay, so previously, patient defense was you spend a point to dodge as a bonus action. And that's exactly what it was in the last one. But now, patient defense is that you just get to disengage as a bonus action, like the ranger, or not the ranger, like the rogue's able to do with their cunning action. That's a really cool feature, and you're getting to upgrade it with your point. So you're not having to spend your point, but you can spend your point so that you can get a better version of patient defense. And then what? Step of the Wind. You can take the dash action as a bonus action. Great. So this is just like with the rogue with their cunning action. Alternatively, you can spend 1 point to do both disengage and dash, and your jump distance is doubled. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. It's giving you everything it did before, but it's giving you something just slightly less that is a bonus. This is exactly what the monk needed. Stuff that it can do that's not locked behind its key points. Stuff that's not locked behind utilizing its limited resource. Keep in mind, at second level, you only have 2 points. If you are fighting something and you are about to, you want to make sure that you do your damage. You want to be the cool monk that you are, and you want to spend, a point to flurry of blows. Well, guess what? That's half. At second level, that is half of everything you can do. Even if you're at 4th level, if you want to, punch somebody twice, and then duck away, and then on your next turn you wanna dash, there goes half of your points. I like this. This is where we need to go. If they weren't going to just give us more points, which I know they were hesitant to do. I know Wizards was hesitant to just say, okay, we're just going to increase your pool. This is a good way to go about it. All right. Monk is looking good. Even on their second ability, I'm already liking it. Okay. What's next? Uncanny metabolism. That's new. Formerly, it was heightened metabolism. Wasn't that later? Yeah, that was 7th level. Okay. Moves to 2nd level. Regains discipline points. Oh, nice. When you roll initiative, you can regain all expended discipline points. When you do so, roll your martial arts die and regain a number of points equal to the number rolled once per long rest. Cool. A very simple way to get you some points back and not having to wait until 7th level. That is pretty decent. That does mean that I assume, yeah, so at 7th level, we're not getting that ability to spend 1 minute resting to get the benefits of a short rest. So that does kind of suck, but hey, I've said this a lot over the years, and especially with a lot of the UA that we've been reviewing. I prefer when stuff is front-loaded to a class rather than later on, because most campaigns see their playtime between levels 5 to 12. So if there's class features that are like, 14, 16, 18, whatever, I don't generally care about those because it's rare that you're ever going to see a campaign get to that point. Okay. So yeah, uncanny metabolism now regains discipline points when you roll initiative, as well as regaining a number of hit points. Nice. So you just get you get your discipline points back and you get some hit points. Nice. All right. Deflect attacks, not deflect missiles anymore. You can use your reaction to deflect melee and ranged attacks against you that deal bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. When you do so, the total damage you take from it is reduced by 1d10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your monk level. Okay, so 3 plus maybe 3 or 4, so 6 or 7. So 1d10 is going to be 5.5 on average. So you're looking at 11, so you're looking at about 12. So if an attack is doing 12 points of damage on average, you're going to be able to block that. If you reduce the damage to 0 hit points, okay, so just overall, if a melee or ranged attack is hitting you, you are reducing the damage with a reaction. If you reduce it to 0, you can spend a hit point to redirect some of the attack's force. Choose a creature within 5 feet of you if the attack is a melee hit, or 60 feet or 60 feet of yourself that isn't behind total cover if it was a ranged attack. That creature must succeed a dexterity saving throw or take damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts. Okay, so that's basically about the same. That's fucking sick. It's now tied to melee attacks. So this is somebody coming up to the monk, about to slice them with their sword, and the monk just like honing in and just batting the sword away. And not only that, but like they're redirecting it to hit into themselves, you know, like to hit into somebody within 5 feet. That's awesome. See, this is exactly what it needed. It needed some stuff to just buff it, to make it that much more accessible and to make people want to do this. I love that. I love that. All right. Slow fall's the same. Extra attack is the same. Stunning strike now deals force damage if the, okay, so previously, once per turn when you hit or unarmed strike, you can spend a discipline point to attempt to stun them. They must succeed a con save or have the stun condition. Okay, so now you can spend a point to attempt to stun them. They must succeed a con save. On a failed, they are stunned until your next turn. On a success, they take force damage equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom. Great. This is great. Okay? This is one of those things where this is like, okay, you didn't stun them, you spent your point, but you're not losing out on that key point anymore. That was always one of the shittiest things about Stunning Strike, was you would attempt to stun a creature, they would save, and you've just burnt that point. Now it's like, hey, relax. You didn't hit them, or you didn't stun them, but you dealt a little bit of force damage to them. They took a little bit of extra damage. And at 5th level, that is a D8. And that's just going to go up. That's just going to go up from there. I mean, so Stunning Strike, you're going to hit them, and they're either going to be stunned or take, on average, 5 extra points of damage. I'll take that. I'll take that any day. That's awesome. All right. Shit, I'm liking this. I'm liking this so much right now. All right, so that was Stunning Strike. What do we have next? Empowered Strikes is the same. Evasion is the same. Now we had heightened metabolism, which is obviously moved. Acrobatic movement, so that's the same. Heightened discipline, this is new. Okay, so heightened discipline, we had self restoration, which is still a thing. So what's our new 10th level ability? So heightened discipline is a new feature that increases the effects of the first 3 abilities. Okay, so your flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind gain the following benefits. Flurry of blows, you can spend 1 point to use flurry of blows and make 3 unarmed strikes instead of 2. So previously you're spending 1 point, you get 2. Now you're spending 2, or you're spending 1 point, you're getting 3. Awesome. Patient defense, when you spend a discipline point to use patient defense, you gain temporary hit points equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Awesome. So you're not only getting that disengage and the dodge, but you're also getting some temporary hit points. And step of the wind, when you spend a point to use step of the wind, you can choose a willing creature within 5 feet that is large or smaller, and you move the creature with you until the end of your turn. The creature's movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Wow. So, holy shit. Hold on, I dropped something. I'm sorry, what? So you are spending a point at 10th level, and you get to pick up one of your allies within 5 feet of you, and you're dashing with them. So arguably, at this point, you have probably like 40 feet of movement. So you are being able to pick somebody up that is large or smaller and move them up to 80 feet, essentially. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty powerful. But it's only powerful in certain situations. But that's still pretty powerful. Dang, I don't hate this. I like this. This is exactly what the monk needed. The monk needed cool things that it could do that made the points worthwhile to use. Not just the basic shit that the class was supposed to be using, but like, give me stuff that doesn't require the points, but make the points matter when I use them. I like this. I'm loving this so far. All right, self-restoration. So self-restoration now allows you to remove some conditions at the end of your turn. Okay, so previously, through sheer force of will, you use a bonus action to remove one of the following conditions: charmed, frightened, or poisoned. In addition, foregoing food and drink doesn't give you levels of exhaustion. Okay, now it is just that at the end of each of your turns, you can end the charmed, frightened, or poisoned condition. Cool. So it's removing that from the action economy. It's just at the end of your turn, if you are charmed, frightened, or poisoned, you're not now. So, awesome. Deflect energy now works for... Wait, what? Deflect energy used to be... You can now use your deflect missile features for ranged attacks that deal any damage type, not just bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Deflect energy. You can now use your deflect attacks feature against... Okay, so deflect attacks now goes towards spells. So if somebody hits you with a melee spell attack, you can now deflect it. Awesome. Superior defense can now be activated at the start of the turn. So previously, as a bonus action, you can spend 3 points to perfectly bolster yourself against harm for a minute. During this time, you're resistant to all damage except force. Now, at the start of your turn, you can spend 3 points to bolster... Oh, wait. So wait, what? Oh, wait. Perfect. What am I reading here? No, yeah. Oh, interesting. So it just doesn't require the bonus action. So it's just, hey, again, it's being taken out of action economy like self-restoration. That's awesome. Perfect discipline. Why did this list it like that? Or did I just read it out of order? No. Huh. Okay, that's weird. Perfect discipline is when you roll initiative, you regain 4 if you have none remaining. It is now when you roll initiative and have 3 points or fewer, you regain them until you have 4. Okay. So no matter what, you're always getting yourself back up to 4. Okay, cool. So you would always have 4 when you go into combat. That's awesome. And Body and Mind is a new 20th level feature. So it looks like Death Defy is gone. You have honed your body and mind to new heights. Your dexterity and wisdom scores increase by 4 to a maximum of 26. So that aligns with the Barbarian feature that allows your strength and constitution to go up to a maximum of, I think, 24. So this is, and I could be wrong. Oh, it's a maximum of 26 now. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. I like that change. It makes them, you know, it makes reaching 20th level actually mean something, because now you can like bolster yourself beyond that. You are a true master of body and mind. That's awesome. I love this base monk. Everything they've added, all the stuff that's like, you don't need to use action economy. You don't need to use your points anymore. These are just things you can do now. But if you want to use your points, if you want to use your bonus actions, now they're even better. That's the way it's done. That's a good system, and I appreciate how they've done this. Good for you, WotC. Good for you. All right, and then we have Warrior of the Hand. So Warrior of the Hand, the open hand technique now has the Addle option to prevent creatures from making opportunity attacks. No longer requires a saving throw. Okay, so previously, Addle, the target must succeed a con save or it can't take reactions until the end of its turn. Addle is now that the target can't make opportunity attacks. So you've lowered the effect of it, because not taking reactions is worse than not getting opportunity attacks, but they don't have to succeed or fail on a con save. Perfect. I actually really appreciate that. Wholeness of Body now allows you to regain hit points without expending discipline points. Awesome. As a bonus action, spend a point, roll your hit die, you regain that number of hit points. Now it is just, as a bonus action, roll your hit, you roll your thing, you gain that many points. You can do this a number of times equal to your, perfect. This is how it needs to be done with monks. Just stop making everything cost discipline points, and you've already made it so much better. All right, Fleet Step. Where's that? There it is. Now allows you to take Step of the Wind action alongside other bonus actions. Okay. When you take a bonus action, other than Step of the Wind, you can also use Step of the Wind as part of that. Great. That's awesome. Previously, it was just that you could use Step of the Wind without expending points. We're already doing that. So this is great. So you're getting a free use of Step of the Wind. That's awesome. And Quivering Palm now gives you the option to replace one of your attacks with the action to end the vibrations on a creature. To compensate for this increased flexibility, the cost and damage have been adjusted. Okay, so previously, Quivering Palm was, you gain the ability to set up lethal vibrations in someone's body. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend 3 points to start these imperceptible vibrations that last a number of days equal to your month level. Okay, so this has gone from 3 to 4. The vibrations are harmless until you use an action to end them. To do so, you and the target... hold on. Okay, yeah. To do so, you and the target must be on the same plane of existence. When you use this action, they make a con save, taking 10d12 plus your monk level of force damage on a failed save. It is now. Alternatively, they are harmless until you use your action to end them. Alternatively, when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with this action. To use this action, you must be on the same plane of existence. They take 10d12 force damage. Okay, so it's just they're not getting the straight up 17 added onto it. Okay, so it's 1 extra point. They take 17 points less of damage. Okay, honestly, I'm whatever on this. I've talked about this before. I literally said it earlier today. When it comes to 17th level abilities, I don't really care. Most people are never going to see them. Overall, I like it. I like what they've done with the monk. They've basically taken what everyone hated about the monk, which was that there wasn't enough points to go around with all the things that cost points. And instead of saying, okay, you know, we're going to give you extra points equal to proficiency, or we're going to give you extra points equal to your wisdom. Now they're just saying, hey, it doesn't cost this much. You know, oh, that feature? No, it just have it for free. You know, oh, you want to use your bonus action to do this? Cool, just do it. You don't need to spend a point. That's awesome. I really like that. Now, there is one thing that I want to think about here. And it's the thing I looked up a little bit ago. So follow me on this. The martial arts feature is that martial weapons that have the light property. As I pointed out here, that includes the hand crossbow. This does not say martial melee weapons. It says martial weapons. Now, the hand crossbow is a light weapon, and it's martial. So that means that you could have you could have 2 hand crossbows and have the crossbow expert feat to ignore reloading and to not have disadvantage on ranged attacks. And you can, wow, I mean, you could basically be like, it kind of allows this to be like a gun kata kind of character, in a way. But because you can be like shooting people and, you know, go up and bonk somebody on the head when you use your flurry of blows with these dual guns. That's awesome. That is so fucking cool. I love that. Oh man, that'd be awesome. Let's get some gun kata in here. All right, yeah. So overall, barbarian, druid, monk, I think they look good. You know, the barbarian getting you know, stuff more often as they're going on, you know, getting back their rages more often. I think that's a great change up that they did, you know, letting you get your stuff back. Also, flexibility on the brutal strike feature is really cool. That's a lot of what they wanted to do. The druid getting that, you know, being able to know more druid shapes or more beast shapes. It just gives players more accessibility without going too far in. You don't have to know 75 stat blocks, but you can know like 4 or 5, you know, fairly early on, and you can swap between them. And monks just overhauled to not have to worry about using their points as often. You know, if you're not going to give us more points, make things not cost points, and make the points that you are going to spend worth it. You know, the whole change to right here to the monk's discipline with flurry of blows, patient defense, and step of the wind. It's like, cool, use these features as you want, but if you spend a point, they're upgraded. Like, that is just a great change. Yeah, good on you, Wizards. You did good with this one. All right, so I'm not going to go over all the spells, but I do want to touch on them. So, conjure animals, conjure celestial, conjure elemental, conjure fey, conjure minor elementals, and conjure woodland beings have been redesigned to differentiate them from the summoning spells introduced in Tasha's. So this is a big thing that has recently come up. Now, there are spells like conjure animals, but then there is summon beast. Okay? It's basically, these were very similar things. They were supposed to kind of replace one another, but they are different in how they work. So basically, conjure animals is the original one. It gives you 4 options to choose from based on a challenge rating of 2 and just getting divided. And it literally creates, this is a spirit of an animal. This is not the thing, but it is a fey spirit that looks like it. Versus where you have bestial spirits where they are, you know, again, like more of what it's supposed to be. Okay, it's supposed to be that thing. Like it says here, the creature resembles an animal of your choice that's native to the chosen environment. Okay, so they work very similarly, and let's be real here, they're kind of interchangeable. But now, the way that the conjure spell works, you summon nature spirits that take the form of a large swarm of spectral animals in an unoccupied space within 60 feet. It lasts for 10 minutes, and you can choose what form they take. When a hostile creature enters the space within 10 feet, they make... you can make a melee spell attack against the creature. On a hit, they take radiant damage equal to 2d10 plus your spellcasting mod. So, as I read that, yes, you are not going crazy. This is just a druid ranger version of the cleric spirit guardians. That's exactly what this is. Okay? It is no longer that, hey, you have a bunch of animals around you. It is that you have a swarm of animals that surrounds you for up to 10 minutes. And when a creature enters your space or enters, you know, a space within 10 feet of you, or it starts its turn there, you get to make a melee spell attack against that creature. And it, like it says, you have advantage on strength saves while you're within 10 feet of the swarm. And when you move on your turn, you can move the swarm up to 30 feet. So this is basically having a roving, you know, essentially a roving spirit guardians. And that's what the big difference they wanted to exemplify with these, okay? Where Summon Beast is now going to be more of the, you are summoning a thing and it's going to fight alongside you and it's going to be an ally and it's going to be on its own initiative count and it's actually there, and it obeys your commands. The conjure spells, in contrast, is going to work more like a spell effect. Okay, so, conjure celestial. You summon a protective presence of a celestial spirit, which manifests as a pillar of light in a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder within 90 feet. For 10 minutes, bright light fills it, and when you move on your turn, you can move this. When a creature enters the cylinder for the first time on a turn or starts it there, you can do one of the following. If the creature that isn't an undead or construct regains 4d12 plus your spellcasting modifier in hit points, and they can only be healed once per casting of the spell, or they make a dex save and take 8d12 radiant damage. So it's kind of like Moonbeam in a sense, but it's good and bad. Like it's both healing and damaging. This is awesome. Okay, there's been so many times that like I've had players sit down that have access to these spells, and they're like, do I take the conjure spell or do I take the summon spell? Like, what's better? Because arguably, conjure animals, this is the one where, my buddy Jared and we came up with the whole thing of like, you summon 8 camels in the sky and just have them, fall down. You summon 8 camels 60 feet up in the sky and have them rain down. It's not meant to be used that way, but that's the thing. It's just that this was the first version. The Tasha's version, this was very powerful, and that's what that's what Wizards wanted to change. It was a little too powerful. So they say, okay, cool. This is what the conjure spells are. And that's kind of the way that, that the names are really like differentiating it. One, you're summoning an animal, whereas conjure is more like the spell. So yeah, there is a change with these. Now, what I will say though, is I feel personally attacked by this, because what I want to point out is that Conjure Woodland Beings is the one that allows you to make a party of 4 flying T-Rexes, and you can't do that anymore. So I just kind of want to point out that, like, I feel personally attacked by the change to Conjure Woodland Beings, but I get it. I can always still use this. All right. So Healing Word has been buffed. Okay. Healing Word has been buffed. So previously it was 1d4 plus your spellcasting modifier. Now it is 2d4 plus your spellcasting modifier. That's it. It is now that it increases, that 2d4 is now the base. So Healing Word actually does considerably more healing. In fact, it does 3 points on average more. The reason why they did this is because they realized that increasing it by an extra die makes it better usable early on, but it doesn't imbalance the system enough to not have that. So, have it as you want. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Give the players the ability to heal. Yeah. Oh, look at that. They changed the name. It's now a general feat. Interesting. Oh. Huh. That's interesting. Oh, so that's why all that stuff is increased to 26 now. Increase 1 ability score by 2, increase 2 by 1. You can't increase an ability score above 20. However, if you're at least level 19, that maximum increase is 22. Nice. Cool, 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 cool. All right. Well, that is pretty much it. I'm not going to go over any of this stuff because they always just kind of like reiterate a lot of the same things. But there we go. There's Unearthed Arcana number 8, or Unearthed Arcana playtest number 8. The Barbarian, the Druid, and the Monk with some new spells. So overall, I think this was a good one. I think the changes that they did to the monk was well needed, and it, for what I have seen in multiple videos, has been well received. So I look forward to the survey to be able to speak my words on it. But yeah, good on you, Watsy, good on you, wizards. But I think that's probably gonna do it for me tonight. I was planning on talking about some other things before I saw that the UA came out today, and then I was like, oh, I'll do that. So that'll be something. Plus, I also have something planned in mind for another stream down the line. Just the other day, I'll give you a little bit of a heads up. So just the other day, a couple of my friends and I were playing Tabletop Simulator. Now, if you don't know what Tabletop Simulator is, it's basically it's a game that has a virtual 3D tabletop, and you can get all kinds of different stuff in it from the Steam Workshop. People have made tons of games on there, popular games like Uno, Cards Against Humanity, the Game of Life, Clue, Monopoly, you name it, it's pretty much there. But one of the ones that they have is Trivial Pursuit. And they actually have the Dungeons and Dragons Ultimate Edition that has 300 cards. So I am planning on doing a stream at some point where either I get people to play and I absolutely smoke them and make them miserable, or what is more likely, because I hate trying to plan streams with other people, what I might do is I might host a stream where if I can figure out how to do it, I will I'll maybe figure out a way where I can host a trivia game where we kind of play together using the cards in the game. Okay. Where I would load it up, I would have the cards there, and we would look at the questions on it, and we would have a timer to answer it or something like that. I'm going to figure it out. I have looked at some of the cards already. It's one of those things after you get a chance to, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, hey, I can't stop anybody from going out there and playing. I don't even know how I want to do it. But I also just want to kind of go through and answer the questions. So for me, honestly, it might just be a stream where it's just me going through, and answering questions and seeing how many I can get right. But yeah, I mean, there's 300 cards. There's 6 categories. There's 1,500 questions in this. So it's quite a biggin. But yeah, that'll be for another stream. So yeah, Trivial Without the Pursuit, I guess. Well, it's Pursuit of Knowledge. But that's going to do it for me tonight. So, it's been a long day. I had shit going on early this morning that I had to deal with and all that. So, yeah, just going to go take a nap. So y'all have a wonderful night. Enjoy your evenings. I'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone.